Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right. We have a 53-man roster audit for you guys here today. Now that the first big wave of free agency is over, the Vikings have spent more money in free agency than any other team in the NFL in terms of like multi-year contracts, the Jordan Mason trade. So Judd's been putting together the depth chart information. We will lean into the spreadsheet of glory from free agency week, and we'll go through and see how do we feel about the current 53-man roster here. Plus, is this a hot take on this Tuesday? You can get Judd's got the Minnesota QB Rehab School shirt, brand new in the Purple Daily shop. ScoreNorth.com/shop right there. And on the back is a full list going back decades of quarterbacks that have entered the Purple, not the Purple Daily, but like the Vikings quarterback rehab school. Going back to Jim McMahon back in the early 90s, his career.
Some have graduated, some did not. They flunked out. So it all depends.
Yeah, some left school early. Maybe thought that they're...
A little bit of relapse.
Yeah, got a couple good general classes out of the way.
I'm good. Now I'm bad again.
But let's talk about Padres here before we dive into the Vikings' fresh 53-man roster.
Oh, there's Sports Dad right there. Couple of beers. Well, guess what? Those are going to be Padres beers. Why? Because Padres only does beer. That's right. I've been harping on this, but it's very important. Padres does beer. They don't do a bunch of drinks. They're not like trying to reinvent the wheel. What they're trying to do is come up with the best beers possible. I've been talking about the Irish Red for a long time. I suggest that you try that. The Irish Porter, the English IPA. I could go on and on, but instead of that, how about you check them out? Available now. Lunds and Byerly's, Kowalski's, Haskell's, Hy-Vee, Total Wine, Cub, MGM, all throughout the metro, and I believe now in parts of the outstate as well. And so if your favorite bar or liquor store doesn't have Padres, just ask for it and tell them that Sports Dad told you that because they just do beer, they are damn near perfect in my eyes.
In fact, every store should just do beer, whether it's a brewery or whatever else.
Great idea.
So so you've got your own depth chart. We also have the spreadsheet of glory here. Listener Shauna has been putting together these amazing multi-tab spreadsheets to help us track the Vikings additions in free agency. So we can lean on that as kind of a visual. But I say we start on the offensive side, and then we work our way through. Okay. And as we go position group by position group, I feel like we need a way to like either not like a grade, but we need some way to say thumbs up,
right?
Like thumbs down,
incomplete,
needs another player. You know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So.
Oh, look, this is handwritten. Look at this.
Handwritten and highlighted.
This is glorious.
Offense, defense.
Are the highlights like players on the bubble, or it's new players?
The new guys that were signed in this wave as well. So like if you signed a futures contract, you're on the roster right now, but you don't get a highlight from me.
Okay, I got
you. And then of course it's a 3-phase game, so we got special teams as well.
That's right. Right now there's no real competition for kicker or punter. I think kicker we're probably sitting pretty good.
I think we're going to get a competition at punter.
I think so too.
And the real one, especially if the rule is changed again, is kick returner. And with Brandon Powell not back. Oh, but we'll get to that. I digress. All right. So let's start at the very top, the quarterback position. Right now, 2 guys. JJ McCarthy, Brett Rippon, who the Vikings picked up before last season. I think O'Connell likes him because he's smart. I think he's probably, in all candidness, a future coach. So I don't think that he is here to play. So again, if you want to go with like the incomplete rooms, the quarterback room definitely still not complete.
Yeah. So we need, something interesting to throw on top of this discussion. So there's like a big NFLPA golf event happening somewhere. In Mexico. Okay. Mm-hmm. And Kay Adams, who's now, is it FanDuel? She does the Up and Adams show, like this digital show. Mm-hmm. And there's like a live fast channel. And so she had JJ McCarthy on the show with just like the golf course in the background. JJ's got his little like golf shirt on, got the flow up top. And she asked him, there's some interesting stuff that came out of it, but the biggest thing that's making the rounds this morning is she said, so when the Vikings told you that she was kind of presumptively saying, like, when they told you were the number one quarterback, kind of blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, they actually haven't told me I'm the number one quarterback yet, but I'm glad they had. He didn't say it as if he was complaining.
Right.
He said, I'm glad they haven't because I want to earn this thing every day. I don't want it to be given to me, JJ speak, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And as I tweeted this morning, people are going to make a huge deal out of this. Oh, they haven't told him he's the number one quarterback. I mean, Judd, you covered enough NFL teams. I don't know that they don't hold like a ceremony behind the scenes the week after free agency, and put a crown on his
like
head.
Some weird
you
thing,
are the
like they're
number one
burning
quarterback.
fires in the back or something. No, they will. If he is taking the first team reps, he's the starter. Like that's
right.
how it works. And if he sucks, he might not take the first team reps for long. But yeah, there's not like no official passing of the torch. Like Sam does not come back, right? Hey, I'm back for one day to give JJ the torch. So yes, this is more, in my opinion, like semantics. Like, I haven't been told that. Well, of course you have not been told that yet. But right now there is no one else beyond Brett Rippon in the room with you, and it certainly looks like it's trending towards a veteran backup being brought in to be his number two. And, like there is a potential that more takes place here. So I think it's smart on everyone's part. I don't think you need to state what is obvious now because things do change. But I also don't think that this is like some story that, oh my God, O'Connell's not communicating with McCarthy. What's gone wrong here?
It seems weird from the outside looking in because the way that guys like us talk on the show and fans, it's kind of, you talk in sort of depth chart terms, backup, starter, QB1, QB2, it's like kind of almost like fantasy football terms. But on the inside of at least the Vikings facility, they don't label players that way. Like they have depth charts and stuff,
right.
But
not right now.
No, like right. They
You're
have
exactly
rooms of players.
They do not have depth charts. They do not issue depth charts until right before the first preseason game because of this.
Yeah. So
right.
They have rooms of players, and then those players get reps in practice. Mm-hmm. And you can obviously deduce if you were able to watch practice, and Sports Dad and I will be at some of the practices this summer, but you can kind of see, oh, that guy's getting more snaps than that guy. But there was times where like Gabriel Murphy as an undrafted free agent was getting first team reps in full team drills.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, and he got injured, but at the end of the day, he might have been a deactivation on Sundays during the regular season. So just because they haven't told JJ officially with trumpets blaring, you are the number one quarterback. You have passed the Aaron Rodgers drama week.
Come down on the chariot, JJ. Bring him down on the chariot.
Yeah. So we need another quarterback in that room is the moral here, but it might be a QB2 or a QB3.
Incomplete. Running back, interesting, because there are 4 guys in the room, but I don't think the room is necessarily completely set yet. Aaron Jones, of course. Jordan Mason, who was obtained a couple of weeks ago from the 49ers. Ty Chandler, and Xavier Scott. So I think we could be definitely looking at a potential draft pick here. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't draft one, if they add another body, because I don't know that Ty Chandler or Scott are going to make the roster, and I think you definitely want a third guy. But depth chart wise, Jones and Mason are definitely 1, 2, or 1A, 1B probably more accurate.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because this is a loaded running back class. I still say like they're set at running back right now. They've got, in fact, you could argue they don't have a Saquon Barkley, but in terms of top 2 guys on a running back depth chart, this is pretty high up on the list of any NFL running back rooms. I don't think it should prevent them from drafting in the 3rd or 5th round. I think it does prevent you from drafting Omari and Hampton or somebody in the 1st round. But it'll be a really interesting decision there in the 3rd round, 5th round if one of those Ohio State kids is somehow still there, like as your 97th pick is creeping closer. If a really talented 22-year-old running back is sitting there, I still think you could add, because Aaron Jones is 30 and might not be on the team next year.
Yeah. Aaron Jones last year also 306 touches for the Packers, for the Vikings in his first season. But if you go back 2 years ago when he did play all 17 games, he had 272 with A.J. Dillon getting 214. So, like, not exactly a perfect 50-50 split, but probably you're going to it would take a lot of injuries and a lot of ineffectiveness from Jordan Mason to see a 300-touch season again from Aaron Jones in 2025.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is definitely going to change. I do think Ty Chandler's probably out.
They'll run him into training camp, right?
Correct.
And then
but then I do not think, I don't sense that they trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hell, I mean, they literally traded for Cam Akers again because they didn't trust him last year, right?
Yep. And Cam, you know what? I wouldn't totally close the door on him coming back potentially still. I could see it.
Yeah.
I could see that one.
You know, something interesting happened on my Instagram account yesterday.
What?
So there was we posted a clip. No, it was Myles Gaskin, actually. So Dex posted a clip, or maybe AJ, from a few weeks ago when I was criticizing the Vikings for not getting enough value for, like, if you look at Kirk Cousins left. They could have traded him at any point if they had stopped with the no trade clause. Whatever. Like, I don't have to rehash the argument.
Sure.
I turned out to be wrong about Sam Darnold. But my point was, the Vikings let players leave the building, Danielle Hunter, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, and get nothing for them. And Myles Gaskin liked the video on Instagram. And I don't know if he just, like, enjoyed the commentary or if he was liking it because, they let talented guys like us leave the building.
That's awesome. Myles Gaskin.
He either just, like, enjoyed the rant or he was like, hell yeah. They got to stop
I don't think he
future
enjoyed
Hall
the
of
rant.
Famers.
I think he agreed with it completely.
That's awesome.
So, Myles, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on the show sometime.
Yeah.
Thanks for the support.
On to wide receivers. We got 8 of them, boys. That's a lot. We got 8.
Okay.
Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, Tim Jones, who was added from Jacksonville in free agency and looks to be one of the, if not the primary Trent Sherfield replacement, because he is a special teams maven. Rondale Moore, and then 3 guys that I think were all in training camp a year ago: Lucky Jackson, Jashawn Jones, and Thayer Thomas.
So this is another one where there's some talent at that position in the draft. And if you're truly in best player available mode and someone falls that isn't supposed to fall in the first round, is it a position that you would just not touch? You would trade back at all costs? Or would you just say, hey, this is the best player on our board by 10 spots, and, you know, the fact that we have one of the best 1-2 punches be damned, we have to take the best player available? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
Do you guys think on Moore, do you think he's got a really good chance? Because he didn't play last year. He got hurt, I think, in training camp. But he intrigues me, but I'm not sure if I'm intrigued because I saw him in college at Purdue, and I saw him catch that touchdown pass against the Vikings for the Cardinals. And so I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember him. And he's the type of guy who it's going to come to the last cuts, and he's gone. And I'm like, well, that seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that does happen where a guy gets
right.
But the fact that he's still pretty young, he was a second-round draft pick. He's been more productive, even though maybe he hasn't lived up to the expectation of where he was first year at Purdue, where he's leading the Big Ten in catches and yards and touchdowns. Ran a 4.330. But he's been more productive than, like, Jalen. Was it Jalen Rager, right?
Yes.
Oh, the guy from the 2000.
Yes.
Yep. That they traded for, like, the first year Kwesi. So yeah, this is kind of a perfect situation for Rondale Moore because there's no pressure on him to be like the number 2 receiver. In fact, you got TJ Hawkinson, who's kind of sitting there as your, like, 2.5 or number 3 target. And you got running backs that can help in the short game. So I look at him as he's just an added, super fast bullet out of the backfield, out of the slot, that can give you 25, 30 snaps as needed and maybe a handful of targets. Really intrigued, and I do think he makes the roster.
Yeah, he's He's an interesting kind of gadget guy, too. He can also take handoffs. I mean, he had 28 attempts in 2023, just rushing attempts with Arizona. So you can maybe get this guy in some swings and some jet sweeps. So I like it. I like it a lot. I think he's definitely going to push Jalen Nailor for the basically wide receiver 3 position. Or if obviously Jordan Addison's suspended for the first couple games, we might see actually some Randall Moore a lot early on in 2025.
The ability to catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage and create really, really intrigues me.
Yeah. He's a totally different player than Jalen Nailor. Jalen Nailor is more of a downfield kind of a situation. Rondale Moore is almost exclusively at the line of scrimmage, inside 5 yards in the air, or behind the line of scrimmage. And that's where, I'm curious if you took all those rushing attempts. I think a lot of those are semantical passes where it's like a bubble screen or something, or it's like the quick game, and technically it's a rush because the pass was thrown a yard behind line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
But super interesting weapon. For sure.
All right, on to tight end. Another room, very incomplete. TJ Hawkinson, Josh Oliver, and that is it right now.
Yeah.
So the best tight end, the best third tight end, I believe KOC said, in the history of the National Football League is now in Jacksonville. Johnny Munt, love ya, sorry, but this room needs at least one, if not two more guys going into training camp. My guess is at least two more. But this is one where I don't think that you're going to go into the season with two. I think you're definitely going to have three. So the Vikings are in search of a Johnny Munt replacement.
And what you see on the screen here for the YouTube audience is this is not quite as complete as Judd's current roster he's reading off. We only had a handful of the receivers on here, but you'll see this is 52 or 53 guys here competing for spots. And yeah, the tight end room. So you need tight end 3.
Yep.
And I would even argue too that I think you need someone that could be a development guy, because I don't know that Hawkinson's here in 3 years. He's had an injury.
Sure.
He's definitely been banged up throughout his career. He's a physical player. And Josh Oliver, he's pretty young still. He's 27 years old. But I don't think it can just be a warm body. I think you need someone that can actually play snaps, and a guy that if someone gets hurt for a month and a half, you can trust to catch passes. And
well, Munt did.
Yep, totally.
He played a lot. So, yeah, you're right. So 2 guys in that room. All right, let's quickly check in. It's the fullback room. Hi, CJ Ham. What's going on? Hanging out? Okay, bye. That's your fullback room.
That's kind of everyone's fullback room. In fact, I feel like half the teams in the league don't even have a classified fullback.
It's they're dusty, anymore. Right? It's what's this room? It's called the fullback. It's a very old position. Yeah. And you're like,
what's that thing on the back of his jersey? That's a neck roll, son. That's a neck roll.
Right.
Why? Because he blocks and his neck is snapping back constantly.
Michael Allstott was his hero.
And every once in a while, we'll hand him the ball. No, that's the fullback.
How many? I wonder if we did a search here. How many classified draftable fullbacks are there? If we Googled 2025 fullback,
I feel it should be there.
Draft prospects.
I'm sure there's. Yeah, I'm sure there's a list, but I wonder how big it is.
Let's see here. Okay, PFF. Let's see. Here we go. With BNB football. Not totally sure what that is, but it's the second thing that pops up when you search draftable fullbacks. Okay, Brant Cuthie from Utah is a fullback tight end hybrid.
Okay, that's an H-back, though.
H-back?
That's a Kleinsasser.
But you could use, if you could have someone that could take your fullback and your tight end 3
I want
kind
a
of
real,
position.
But are there purebred fullbacks?
Yeah, Brock Lampy from Northern Illinois, 6'1", 255-pound fullback, the Husky from Northern Illinois.
And what's his name?
Brock Lampy.
Dude, does that not sound like a guy that was born to play that position? Brock.
Here's a couple other ones. All right, this guy from Kansas. It's a Thor Nystrom guy here. Jared Casey. He's a 6', 245-pound fullback from Kansas. And then, did you know Ohio State also has an H-back named Guy Scott Jr.?
No.
6'3", 240 pounds. I'll give you one more here because there is a fifth guy on this list.
Okay.
From North Dakota State. He's a fullback and a long snapper. 6'1", 235 pounds, 6 years at NDSU. Hunter Brosio.
I'm taking a flyer on him.
Hunter
UDFA.
Brosio.
UDFA for me. I'm taking a flyer on him, and that is another great fullback name.
Hunter Brosio is one of the most interesting players in the draft. Sixth-year senior, not only handled the majority of NDSU's fullback snaps, he was also their starting long snapper and could get a look there as an NFL player. Hey, if you
Jared
can do
Allen.
two things.
Jared Allen, right?
He was the Vikings emergency long snapper.
Yeah, but the Chiefs signed him because they thought that they could develop him as their long snapper.
And then he turned out to be a Hall of Fame.
And then they're like,
edge
let's
rusher.
try him at defensive end. Oh, wow, he could play there too. Yeah, it turned into a Hall of Famer.
So you thought the position was extinct, and there's
You know
at
what?
least 5 guys that might be draftable.
The fourth name on your list, though, Guy.
Guy Scott Jr. from
Okay,
Ohio
that does
State.
not sound like a fullback.
No,
It
if you're
sounds like-
if you're re-ranking this list based on how fullbacky do they sound,
Yeah.
Brock Lampy is number
Yeah,
one,
that's number one with a bullet.
and then Hunter Brosio probably
Yeah.
number 2, right?
Guy Scott Jr. sounds like a wide receiver to me. Sounds like a smaller guy.
Yeah,
Guy.
yeah, I feel you on that.
All right. Okay, let's go to the left tackle room where it's far more exciting than the fullback room. Christian Darrisaw. New signed in free agency in, I think, on like the third day or something like that, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, veteran, 5 years, Justin School. He has played in 66 career games and started 17. He is a swing tackle. My guess is he replaces Quessenberry. And then the last guy that I've got in the left tackle room, Marcellus Johnson, Vikings practice squatter in 2024.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, if old Christian Darrisaw stays healthy, you're
He's
good
not
for
ready
the
to
next
go.
5 years.
Might be Justin School on opening day training camp for sure.
Yep. All right. So we feel good about that room.
Left guard. I've got 2 guys. Now I took it upon myself to make an alteration here in how the Vikings are thinking, but that's my job. Blake Brandel, I still have starting, but I have moved, although he is still listed on the Vikings roster at tackle, I have moved Walter Rouse to the backup left guard, and I think there's a fighting chance that he might actually be the guy to compete with Blake Brandel in training camp.
That's fair.
Ooh, all right.
And Brandel, the way they structured that contract, he's not being paid as like a high-end starting guard. He's being paid to maybe start, but I think he's kind of in line as the 6th guy, swing offensive lineman. So if you needed to move him back to a backup role, it would be different than if you were paying him $10 million a year to be your starting left guard.
Yeah.
Then you're probably looking at a different scenario.
Let's shift to the center room, where there's also, I have 2 guys. And I, again, have moved a guy from how the Vikings have him currently on their roster. Ryan Kelly starts, got the big payday from the Colts, but I have moved, Michael Juergens is listed at guard still by the Vikings, and I think he is the most viable candidate right now, probably, to be the backup center. So Juergens can play both positions, but I am putting him on my depth chart behind Ryan Kelly at center.
Yeah, and we could kind of say going into the draft that long-term center, because Ryan Kelly's 31.
Yeah,
It may
some
be a
injuries.
one and done situation for him.
Yep.
If you could get 2 years out of him, that'd be a huge bonus.
Yes.
And then you're looking for a long-term solution. So not that you have to find it in this draft, but if there's a guy sitting out there in the middle round somewhere, you're on alert for a long-term center.
I challenge the brass, Quasi, and the brass. I challenge them to find a starting caliber long-term center on day 3. Like, there's certain spots where it's like, you know what? If you want a great tackle, odds are, right? It's a first-round pick, maybe a day 2 pick. And there's just certain positions that skew towards, if you want to solve the problem, you probably have to draft one high. But I look through the litany of centers, right, in the history of this league, and I see a lot of like day 3 guys that panned out as really good. So I challenge you guys at TCO, find that center on day 3. And at the time, we'll all say, oh, they took a center. Oh, that's nice. But it'd be nice if that guy turns into a Pro Bowl type player, because that's not against the odds, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings history, John Sullivan was a 5th or a 6th round pick. Matt Burke was like a 6th round pick or 7th round pick.
7th round pick, I think. I think Berkey was a 7th round pick.
So that's a decade and a half of your starting. What was Jeff Christie back in the day?
He was, I think, unsigned.
So there you go. You had like 25 years of 20 years of centers who, and the Vikings had a nice run where it was like you always had a reliable starting center there. Okay.
All right. We go to the right guard room. I've got 2 guys there, and it's really just one. So Will Fries, obviously signed from the Colts, is the starter. And then a guy that was on the practice squad in 24, and he is a guard, and I don't know exactly where they plan to have him on the depth chart, but I put Henry Bird at right guard. So Fries and Bird, odds are that if there is a swing guard, that guy would cover for Brandel and or Fries if either one of those guys gets hurt. So Bird, my guess, again, a practice squad guy. I don't think that he's a candidate to make the 53-man roster, or a legit one.
No, I mean, right now I think it's pretty cut and dry. You're going to keep 8 or 9. It's usually 8 or 9 that you keep on the 53 offensive linemen. You're starting 5. Let's call Brandel one of the starters. And then Rouse and Juergens, as of right now, likely to be 6 and 7. So there's maybe 1, maybe 2 other spots. And then let's finish off the offense here with the right tackle room. I like how you've assigned rooms for all 5 different positions here.
Exactly. So the right tackle room has 3 guys. O'Neal starts, and then a couple of guys that they signed. Leroy Watson, who played for the Titans, who until I found him on the roster today, I didn't know was on the team, and in fact had to find where he previously played. And then a guy by the name of, and he is just on the roster, OL, but he is a tackle, Trevor Reed, who played in the Canadian Football League.
Let's go.
So football. Justin School, no question to me, is the swing tackle.
Yeah. All right. And his name is spelled like Skol, right? Isn't it? It's like SK
ULE or something.
Yeah, you got to keep that guy on the team.
Yeah.
Anyone who looks like a Viking or has a name that looks Viking-ish, I feel like just has to be on this 53.
So that is your offense.
Okay.
That's your depth chart.
We'll go through the defense here, and then we can put together some final thoughts on where the 53 stands. I'll give you a potential hottest Vikings take here today. A reminder that the draft party's coming up. The 2025 Purple Daily Draft Party, presented by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. And you can get tickets at scorenorth.com/draft. Scorenorth.com/draft. We're back at the Fillmore in Minneapolis. It was such a great time last year. Thursday, April 24th, 7 p.m., and we will be podcasting live throughout the night. We'll keep you posted on every draft pick. The draft coverage, like nationally, will be on the side TVs too. So if you want to kind of duck in on what the national commentators are saying, you won't miss that too. But yeah, we'll be up there celebrating Purple Daily and Vikings fans and see what they wind up doing in the first round. Scorenorth.com/draft. And we appreciate Standard Heating and Air. We appreciate 2 Men in a Junk Truck and Roku and all of our awesome partners that help us put this event on for now the 4th consecutive year. So also the Canopy Group here powering today's audit of the 53-man roster. Judley?
Absolutely. And so we're talking about folks here, an in-state based independent insurance company that has your best interest in mind in the Canopy Group. Much like a sports executive constantly is searching for the best talent available, the Canopy Group is going to do the same for you when it comes to getting the best insurance coverage at, most importantly, the best price. What they do is they work with 16 groups of top-tier companies to make sure that you have the best insurance roster available for auto, home, health, and business. This is also a company that when it's time to look at your policies again, they are going to go through all of them to get to make sure that you are getting the best deals possible. So give them a call, 1-800-967-3389, or check out their website, thecanopygroup.com. That is thecanopygroup.com. And also, as Phil just said, thanks for their support as well on our Purple Daily shows.
Also, Dennis Kirk, welcome back for another summer here across Score North podcast. Dennis Kirk, you can join them at the 36th annual Donnie Smith Bike Show coming up this weekend. Dennis Kirk back as the title sponsor of the event. It's the official kickoff to spring riding season with some of the best motorcycle builds in the country and the largest indoor swap meet as well. So come meet the Dennis Kirk booth, spin the wheel for a chance at some awesome prizes, and check out the Garage Build Showcase, also powered by Dennis Kirk. All you Ragnars out there, it's riding season, or it's getting really close anyways, here in the next couple weeks. So stop by the 36th annual Donnie Smith Bike Show at the St. Paul River Center this Saturday and Sunday, March 29th and March 30th. All right, let's fly through the defense here.
All right.
And see how we feel about now. The defense, they've pumped a lot of resources into this since the start of free agency. So this is going to be fun.
All right. So let's start at with a 3-4 base defense. Let's start left defensive end, 3 players. Jonathan Allen signed, of course, as a free agent from the Washington Commanders. Jalen Redmond, who had a nice rookie year, and Jonathan Harris. So opening day, no question about it. Health provided. Jonathan Allen starts at left defensive end. Nose tackle, 3 guys. Harrison Phillips, Taki Taimani, Travis Bell. And right defensive end, 2 guys. Javon Hargrave, again, brought in as a free agent from San Francisco. And Levi Drake Rodriguez. So your depth up front now is a completely different ballgame from a year ago.
Yeah, Harrison Phillips, Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen across your 3-4 front, with then the edge rushers we'll talk about. And then I'm still really intrigued. Jalen Redmond gave you a couple really nice games toward the end of the regular season, and Levi Drake Rodriguez, more of a long-term project, playing at a small college, but he showed flashes in training camp. Judd's camp notes was all over him.
Taimani played a little bit.
Yep.
It's a different, completely, you no longer have to rely on guys to do more than they're capable of. You've got good starters now and a good young core. I love this.
Yeah, to have the intriguing guys not be thrown into the fire unless there's an injury or something is the best way to stack this. But they literally went from a bunch of random sort of Jags, just a guy type players that were, all due respect, these guys are still NFL players, to now having, if everyone's healthy, Harrison Phillips, Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, one of the potentially best defensive fronts. I'll still take the Eagles and the young players they have, but they've gone from like bottom 5 to maybe closer to top 5, top 8 with just those 2 moves, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, and Jonathan Allen.
All right, let's go to the second tier. Let's go to the linebacker core, and we're going to start with the will. We're going to start with the will.
Football.
A little weak side for you. 3 guys, Jonathan Grenard, Bo Richter, and Phil's guy, Gabriel Murphy.
Yeah. A couple really interesting developmental guys there. Bo Richter was special teamer at times last year. And then, Gabriel Murphy was literally getting runs with the first team defense in full team drills the first week of training camp. So they loved him in the offseason, and then he got hurt and just fell behind. But really interesting group there. Okay.
So those 3, or a combination thereof, providing the pressure from the Wills. Let's go to the Sam. Only 2 guys in the Sam room, but they're both extremely important. Andrew Van Ginkel, obviously coming off a fantastic first year with the Vikings. And then Dallas Turner, who is going to have to play more. I would expect more from. But if you were to do a depth chart of the pass rush guys, it's Grenard, Van Ginkel, Turner for sure.
And I don't know how many more they would keep beyond the 5 edge rushers. We'd have to go back and see from last year. But if it's just these 5, I'll take it. That's a lot of talent.
And if one of the 2 starters goes down, Turner, I think, would this time around obviously be counted on to bump up. So
I could see like Jihad Ward coming back. I don't think he is signed anywhere yet. I could see them kind of bringing him back as a hybrid down lineman / edge guy that can kind of move in and out.
Okay. 5 interior linebackers: Ivan Pace, Max Tooley, Blake Cashman, Brian Asamoah, and Eric Wilson, who was signed from the Packers, who was actually originally signed, I think, by the Vikings during the Zimmer years. So Pace and Cashman start, and Wilson, I think, is the first guy now off the bench.
Yep. Yeah, Wilson, what is he, 30? So I still think, and Cashman's older than you would think, because, he's Cashman, right? He's like 29.
And he gets hurt a lot.
So you're definitely in the business on day 2 or day 3 of if a good prospect falls to you in the draft, but not needed. Again, like you like this room right now, so you're not desperately looking for a fringe starter in the draft going into late April.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to cornerback. Left corner. I don't know what the plan is, but I again did this by what I'm guessing. Okay, left corner. I got 4 guys in the room: Mackay Blackman, Najee Thompson, who is very good on special teams, and Ambry Thomas and Jeff Okudah. And here's an interesting Okudah fact I did not know.
I'm going to add Jeff Okudah, and because of space here, I'm going to, off the spreadsheet of glory, Khalef Halasi, you're just going to be moved off the spreadsheet. Okay.
Khalef Halasi is like, what the hell, man?
What
the hell, man?
Now he has a family, I'm sure, but
I was
space
with Cleveland
purposes
9 games last year. Okudah's a bust. The one thing about Okudah that I did not know was, so 2 years ago with the Falcons, he got hurt, and part of his problem is he's been hurt a lot, but he only played like 1 special team snap. The Texans in 2024 used Okudah on 49% of their special team snaps.
Yeah, it's kind of where he is.
So there's sort of a sneaky special teams thing here, though. That's important.
Okay.
That can help you make a roster.
Yep.
Okay. 4 guys in the right cornerback room. Isaiah Rodgers, who was signed from Philadelphia. Dwight McLaughlin, the aforementioned Khalef Halasi, and Nashawn Wright. So I'm guessing that Rodgers is going to be vying for a starting job. And then in the nickel room, Byron Murphy Jr., Tavier Thomas, who was signed from Tampa Bay, and Roddy Stewart.
Yeah. Definitely in the market to draft someone. But if you had to start the season, I mean, Isaiah Rodgers in part-time duty with Philadelphia, very solid. And solid in man coverage, according to Pro Football Focus. And then you're kind of Mackay Blackman. There's too many question marks here, though. Like Blackman coming off an injury, not a ton of experience.
Right.
Isaiah Rodgers, not a 1,000 snap guy, and Byron Murphy Jr. very much established. Mm-hmm. But and Jeff Okudah, for all the reasons to this point, a bust, who you're trying to rejuvenate his career. So you definitely could use another high-end body here.
Yes,
as we go to the draft.
And I guess the question is this. On opening day, if they start with 2 corners on the field, Murphy starts outside. But then, so who's the first guy off the bench to come in right now if you had to play a game? Who's the first guy to come off the bench to play the outside if Murphy goes into the nickel job? That's my question.
Well, Isaiah Rodgers is an outside corner. And so you'd have Mackay Blackman.
Isaiah Rodgers
outside, and Murphy slides to the slot like he did a lot last year. A name that's still sitting out there that I don't think the Vikings would touch until after the draft, Asante Samuel Jr.
Why is he
25-year-old unrestricted free agent. It's weird that he's still out there.
He was hurt, I know, but I mean, he's still a very viable player.
Very strange.
I don't get that one.
But the reason I say wait until after the draft is because right now the Vikings, if they don't sign anyone else until after the draft, they are awarded a 3rd and a 4th round comp pick in the 2026 draft. If you sign Asante Samuel Jr., I think it wipes out for sure the 4th, maybe even we'd have to see what the math is on that.
Interesting.
But if he's still sitting out there after the draft and it doesn't affect your comp pick formula, you've got the cap space to bring in a really talented 25, 26-year-old starting cornerback. So something to keep an eye on.
All right. The safety positions. Strong safety. Harrison Smith is back to start. Jay Ward. And then probably the most interesting guy signed on day 1 of the free agent period, because he was signed, I believe, as the 2nd pick, Bubba Bolden. Bubba Bolden, and you're saying, who's that? What I did not know is and I can't find out why. He was the Colts property, I believe, in 2024. He was suspended for 3 games. I don't know why. It doesn't say why. It just says, and in 2019, while in college, Bubba Bolden was suspended from the USC campus for 28 months.
Okay.
It doesn't say exactly why. Bubba Bolden's had some problems, but right now he is on the depth chart, strong safety number 3.
All right. From August 30th, 2024, CBS Sports.
Yep.
Suspended 3 weeks. The reason isn't clear.
Right. That's all I could find.
Is this a guy that has maybe he fell in the what round was he drafted in? Is this a guy that is this a Kwesi sort of, hey, he was supposed to be a
I don't know.
much more highly touted guy in the draft, and he's just ran into some issues?
28-month suspension from campus concerns me.
Okay, here it is from 2018. Suspended safety Bubba Bolden reinstated by USC football due to a student conduct suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely more to the story here.
I'm not sure he's going to make the team.
Seems like a talented guy with a lot of baggage that they're trying to breathe some life into. Okay.
All right. Free safety. My guy, Sports Dad's guy, Theo Jackson. I've been calling for him to play for about 8 years now, it feels like. He is atop the depth chart at free safety. And then I have, on my own special depth chart, I have him as a rover, because that's what he is, Josh Metellus.
Yep.
He's not a safety. He's not
got
a
his
corner.
own room. It's a positionless room.
Exactly right. It's a gorgeous room because he is a rover.
Yep. So I guess Harrison Smith is pretty old. So you're looking at maybe one more year of him, because every year the last 3 years it's been a question whether he's going to come back. So you're looking for some long-term depth. Okay, and then quickly special teams.
Kicker is set. Punter Ryan Wright is set for now. I'm not convinced that they won't bring in a guy to challenge him, but keep in mind, Ryan Wright has this bit of an edge based on one thing as well. He holds. Very important. I've always preached that, right? Punt returner. Right now atop the depth chart at ESPN.com, they have Jalen Naylor. That makes me very, very skittish, because if you go back to the Vikings win against the Packers in Green Bay in week 4 or something like that, he dropped the ball. It went off his face mask and the floodgates opened. So I've got Rondale Moore as his backup. Kick returner, Rodgers, Chandler, and Rondale Moore. I think he could vie there. I think that's a very intriguing one. And then the long snapper, Andrew DePaula. So that is your depth chart.
Wow, there it is. So off of the defensive side of this exercise, I have a take that I'm going to run through the filter of, is this a hot take here? Presented by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, Dex.
That's right. A proud sponsor of our Purple Daily Draft Party at the Fillmore. And also, if you have that furnace on the fritz, March and April are so weird in Minnesota. Could be 70 degrees, could be 20 degrees the snowstorm. You never really know what you're going to get. Got to make sure those appliances are working appropriately. No chance to DIY it. Call Standard Heating and Air to make sure everything is working appropriately, especially when the ground thaws too. And then we switch to AC season. They can help you out with that. Shout out to Standard Heating. They're helping us sponsor the Score North Draft Party. They're a great sponsor here on Purple Daily. We appreciate them. So go contact Standard Heating and Air for all your HVAC needs.
So with the defense here, in terms of major losses, you lose Cam Bynum, but you replace him with Theo Jackson, who they love and who has shown he might just be, boom, an A for A swap, and he might just step in seamlessly. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Little thin at the cornerback spot, but they like Mekhi Blackman. He showed some flashes. So you lost a little bit in a couple of these areas with the veteran cornerbacks out, but you added major pass rushing juice in Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. You've got younger guys stepping up, like Dallas Turner potentially taking a step this year. There's some other guys along the defensive front. So I think I think they've added to what was the 5th best scoring defense in 2024. And it's another year for a lot of these guys in Brian Flores' system and scheme. So the Vikings have had 2 top 3 scoring defenses since the Purple People Eater era. So once the Purple People Eaters were done doing their Purple People Eater defense thing in 1977 or whatever, the Vikings have had 2 top 3 scoring defenses. 2017, number 1, And 1988, they had the second best scoring defense under Jerry Burns and company. Last year, they were 5th, like I said. So is this a hot take? The Minnesota Vikings will have a top 3 scoring defense in 2025.
I don't think it's a hot take at all. No, because they have spent 2 years now crafting a defense that Flores clearly wants, right? Like he took over the Donatel defense and it wasn't very good, and he basically did a very nice job with guys that weren't, for the most part, his guys. The next year, you start to get in some Flores guys, right? And it becomes really good. No, I do not think that is a hot take at all, and I would not be surprised if they were first, if they have health. Like that's the thing here. You've got some guys that definitely have battled some injury problems, but if they have health and they can use their rotations, and to your point too, Turner takes a step, which he should, so that there's more ability to rest Grenard, Van Ginkel, I could see them being number 1. I like it.
It feels incredibly deep. And there are, there's veterans on there, and I think Hargrave's going to be a great addition. Injuries are always a thing. And even though Dallas Turner didn't play a lot last year, I know people got a little chapped about, I think having the depth and the options behind, with Turner having to step in, whether it's with Pat Jones now departed, or if, of course, Van Ginkel or Grenard do get injured, you have Turner in the waitings. I think depth-wise, it's one of their most talented defense. It's probably their most talented defense they've had since 2017, at least on paper.
Yeah. You can't really have the number 1 defense in the league without some major pass rushing juice on the interior.
Right.
Yep. And they were actually 16th in yardage defense last year, but 5th in scoring defense. So they gave up quite a few yards. Mm-hmm. But I think they were number 1 in turnovers forced, interceptions. So they were able to steal back some possessions that otherwise may have been turned into points by just takeaways. So you have to account for maybe some of the takeaway luck to regress. But if you're getting a bunch more juice up front, and it's just harder to win at the line of scrimmage if you're the opposing offense, that's how you make up the gap. So I legitimately think they are getting better on defense, even though they were top 5 in scoring last year. I
would like to see one more corner. Like I'm a little bit skittish there. Now, if Blackman comes back and plays well, that's huge. And I think the one sneaky place that I'm concerned about more so because they both had great years, but they get hurt a lot, are Pace and Cashman. Like, I don't know that I love what's behind them yet. So, but I do think that the ability now to have a defensive line that can get after it, A-gap, just really take on the guards, knock them on their asses. There's a lot to like there.
Yeah. So all right, I think maybe we can do a full episode at some point on like just that take and how viable is it, and compare the Vikings defense to some of the other top defenses, the Eagles, and just really do a deep dive on that here as we get further into the offseason. But yeah, there it goes. There's your 53-man roster audit from our guy Judd. And if you missed yesterday, Drew McGarry was an awesome guest yesterday, diehard Vikings fan. You recognize him from his work at Deadspin back in the day, Defector, if you haven't checked out that interview yesterday. And then tomorrow we'll make our weekly predictions. Write that down. Purple Daily. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See you guys.